Let's discuss the high bridge sequence. I know, Mauro, this is something you wanted to talk about for sure, and I'd love to get Darren's input as well, but we'll start with you. I asked at the beginning of the show, is there a particular scene, something maybe that's more challenging that you want to discuss? And this was the first thing out of your mind, and I'd love to hear why and how you approach that sequence.
Well, it was really challenging because basically, we didn't have a high bridge. We had a parking lot with, in Atlanta with changing weather conditions and, a blue screen, a massive blue screen. And, we have sun that moves on that blue screen. And, and Darren had to create like the ground of that highway, which was like massive. How long was that ground? I think it was like something, what is it, like 500 feet? I don't remember.
No, it was about a football field. I think about 300. Yeah.
Okay, so
it was big. Unbelievable. It was big.
So it's 100 yards of cement, grooved cement that he had to kind of recreate, the top of the high bridge. And so you set that all up and now you're like, okay, we have nothing. We're not really at the high bridge. How are we going to do this? So the challenge is how are we going to spend the whole day filming and, sort of really planning with the first AD of what you're doing at a specific time of the day and be able to use the sun so it doesn't look like, from one shot to the next that it's like a disaster and it doesn't look like the same day. So the challenge for me was to make that look, realistic, like we're actually, and the visual effects were amazing in that sequence. I thought he did an incredible job.
Yeah, Kelly.
And all of that, obviously and also Kelly, the visual effects supervisor, was crucial even in pre-production with light studies and providing me light studies as to what the sun was doing in a specific location and, downloading that. And we designed things around, those specific things. So I thought when I saw the film, I was convinced I was in the high bridge. That's why I say that was the sequence. I mean, that's really the reason.
Well, what is something that you do? And I know you said it was particularly challenging, but I'd love to just get a little bit of maybe was there something that you did to give it that realism? I mean, you're outside, so you have the benefit or I guess detriment of having real life around you. But are you just sort of, working with the sun, diffusing? Are you what's your approach to a scene like that?
Okay, so a lot of things, what I like to do is work with the sun. So we kind of stage all the scenes around the sunlight. What specific direction are we shooting in a specific time of the day? So I try to map out the whole day according to what the sun is doing and which direction we're looking. Sometimes it's challenging because you may be looking in a direction I don't want to look at, but we have to find ways to sort of approach it and find, so the real. It takes so much planning and everybody being involved, with because eventually we have this previs to work with, and that's this sort of video game quality of the sequence that everybody agrees to shooting and everybody loves. So we're gonna make it. We're gonna make them. We understand what we're shooting already. So by breaking those specific little shots from that previs together, we're able to really program our day and, try to be successful to a certain point to get the whole sequence done in a specific time period.
Yeah. Darren, how challenging was that scene for you?
It was tricky. I was just going to mention, I remember one of the hardest calculations was we built a giant steel 3-wall cyc. So a giant process screen, blue screen, kind of outdoor steel structure that could stand the weather and the wind in Atlanta. And we had to build this parking lot or the top of the bridge, but just trying to figure out how far off the back wall so we wouldn't have shadows thrown from the wall onto the set. But in that time of year. So lots of calculations, figuring out where the sun's going to be at that time of year, which direction this cyc had to be built. how far off the wall so the shadows wouldn't fall on it, or the minimum amount of shadows that would fall onto the set throughout the day. It's just a really, really tricky, complicated kind of setup. It wasn't a hard thing to build. It was more just to make sure we put it in the right spot. We built the walls at the right height. We had enough room to work around it. And then that all had to be torn down, and that became Happy's apartment at the end of the movie too, the giant courtyard. So that was this giant basic playground that we built for the studio, which was it's a really amazing resource for them. But it was amazing.